Beer disaster sparks family feud. Trespasser's insane Thanksgiving meltdown caught live. Kids expose mom's madness in shocking twist you won't believe. Pizza piece seals it. Ever stay up way too late talking to someone you barely know, just because the night feels endless and the coffee's still warm? That's where this mess started. I'm usually up past midnight, chatting online with folks who get the whole can't sleep, won't sleep vibe. People who've lived enough years to know life's a little messy and a lot unpredictable. At 40-something, I've got my routines. Work, fiancé, a cat who thinks she owns me, and a passion for brewing beer that's more therapy than hobby. It's not about getting drunk. It's about crafting something with my hands, like my dad used to tinker with car engines in the garage. So there I was, stirring a pot of sugary wort on the stove, the kitchen smelling like malt and possibility, when my phone buzzed. Not a text, a call. Who calls at 1 a.m. anymore? I should have known it was trouble. It was her. Let's call her Jane, because I didn't catch her name at first and Raccoon Dog came later. She launched right in, no hello, like we'd been buddies since the Reagan years. Hey, I know we didn't hit it off last time, but hear me out. Her voice had that pushy edge, like a telemarketer who's already got your credit card number. She'd messaged me weeks ago on some family group chat I barely remembered joining, something about her kids, cousins I'd never met, starting college in my town. I'd brushed it off then, but now she was back, full steam. They don't know anyone there, and I figured since you're local, you could hang out with them. You know, show them around. I squinted at the phone, then at my bubbling pot. Was she serious? I don't even know these kids, never seen a photo, couldn't pick them out of a lineup. But she kept going, like she was pitching a timeshare. Their mom just wants them to feel settled. College can be rough, right? I hated it myself. Did online classes to avoid the whole mingle with strangers thing. I mumbled something like, yeah, I get it, stirring the wort, trying to stay polite. I did get it, sort of. Back in my 20s, I'd slogged through campus life too, feeling like a fish out of water, wishing for a familiar face. But that was decades ago, and these weren't my kids. Still, she had a point about college being a drag, and I softened a bit. Okay, fair. Maybe I could meet them sometime. Big mistake. She latched on like a barnacle. Great. Your mom said you're busy with work, so how about Thanksgiving or Christmas? We'll all be together anyway. I froze. My mom. How'd she get dragged into this? I hadn't even told her about this call. The 40-plus crowd knows that sinking feeling, when family meddling sneaks up like a bill you forgot to pay. Sure, I said, distracted, watching the pot foam. Since we'll be in the same spot, I guess it works. Then it pivoted. She heard the clatter of my brew pot as I set it back on the stove. Are you cooking? She asked, perking up. Yeah, trying a new recipe, I said, proud for half a second. What's that? Oh, it's the base for beer. Silence. Then, beer. Yeah, I brew it. Another pause, longer, like she'd caught me distilling moonshine in the bathtub. Does your mom know you're doing that? I laughed, nervous, annoyed. She knows I can make it, so yeah. Awkward silence stretched, and I tried to lighten it. You did hear beer, and not cocaine, right? No laugh. Just a stiff, oh, I'm just worried how that might look to the kids. Maybe don't mention it when you hang out. That's when it hit me. This woman, who I didn't know, who'd barged into my night, had the gall to judge my hobby. My beer. The thing I pour hours into, perfecting recipes, sharing with friends over backyard barbecues. At 40 plus, you've earned your quirks, right? I've got no kids to impress, no HO breathing down my neck. I'm not Breaking Bad, I'm brewing IPA. But her tone, that sanctimonious drip, lit a fuse I didn't know was still live. Listen, I said, voice tight. I get my career and hobbies aren't traditional family material, but I'm a little offended you're acting like I'm some delinquent. The pot hissed louder, mirroring my mood. She doubled down. It's just inconvenient to spend time making alcohol when you could be with family. Your priorities seem off. That did it. Civility? Out the window. I'm sorry, did you just compare these kids I've never met to my parents? Who are you again? What do I owe you? What part of my life do you deserve? My voice climbed, words tumbling like a rockslide. I don't know you. I'll see my parents with all the homemade booze I want and forget your name before next week. And thanks for distracting me. My pot's boiling over and my wort's ruined. I slammed the phone down, cursing as sticky malt syrup oozed across the stove. From the next room, my fiancé's laugh broke through, a cackle pure and loud. You sounded like an angry Bubbles from Powerpuff Girls, he yelled. I rolled my eyes, half smiling despite the mess, and grabbed a rag. The cat darted in, eyeing the spill, and I muttered, "Not today, fuzzball." Jane didn't call back. Good. But something told me this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. You ever plan a quiet holiday, picturing something straight out of a Norman Rockwell painting? Turkey, cozy pajamas, maybe a stiff drink, and then life just laughs in your face? That's where I was headed with Thanksgiving. After that late-night beer-brewing blowout with Jane, or Raccoon Dog, as my fiancé dubbed her, I'd washed my hands of her guilt-tripping nonsense. At 40-something, I've learned to pick my battles, and hers wasn't worth the energy. I'd agreed to some vague holiday meetup with her kids, cousins I'd never met, mostly to shut her up, figuring it'd fizzle out like most family plans do when you're too old to care about forced reunions. My parents were off visiting my brother, my grandmother was at her retirement home honoring Grandpa, and my fiancé and I both had Black Friday shifts looming. So we said screw it, Thanksgiving would be ours. A night at home, just us, the cat, and a horror movie marathon. Simple. Perfect. I should have known better. The day rolled in, crisp and quiet. I'd spent the morning tweaking a new stout recipe. Dark, rich, the kind of beer that warms you up when the world feels cold. My fiancé whipped up a small feast, roast chicken, mashed potatoes, gravy that could make you cry. We slipped into those flannel PJs you only wear when no one's judging, poured some of my latest brew, and settled on the couch with the thing queued up. The cat sprawled across my lap, purring like she approved. This was it, our little oasis. No awkward small talk with distant relatives, no traffic jams to my parents' place an hour away. Just peace. Then my phone buzzed. A number I didn't know. I ignored it. Holiday mode, right? Folks over 40 get this. You've earned the right to screen calls when you're off the clock. It went to voicemail. Fine. 5 minutes later, it buzzed again. Then again. And again. By the fifth call, I was ready to chuck the thing into the gravy boat. My fiancé, ever the calm one, raised an eyebrow. Check the voicemail. Might be important. I groaned, hit speaker, and braced myself. Hey, it's your landlord. Sorry to bug you on Thanksgiving, using my personal phone since the office is closed. Call me back ASAP. Her voice was tight, like she'd just seen a raccoon rummage through her trash, or worse. My stomach sank. Landlords don't call on holidays unless something's on fire, and I hadn't smelled smoke. I dialed back, heart thumping, while my fiancé paused John Carpenter's Alien Gore Fest. Hey, it's me, sorry, didn't recognize the number, I said, trying to sound casual. She cut through the small talk like a chainsaw. No worries, I get it. You're enjoying your day like we all should be. But do you know a woman named, she paused, fishing for a name I wouldn't catch. Not off the top of my head, I said, racking my brain. Jane. Raccoon Dog. Nope, still drawing a blank. Well, she knows you, the landlord snapped, and she's been giving our courtesy officer hell for an hour and a half. Says you invited her kids over and now she can't reach you. I blinked. Hard. My mind rewound to that beer-soaked phone call, me sarcastically hissing, "See you on Thanksgiving," while mopping up wort. Did this woman actually think that was an invitation? To my apartment? With her kids? I stammered. I didn't invite anyone. I don't even know who this is. The landlord's tone shifted, half exhausted, half amused, like she'd seen this movie before. That's what I figured. You and your fiancé don't exactly throw block parties. But she's got your name, didn't mention him, and she's demanding your apartment number. Like we'd just hand that out. She's parked in the fire zone, kids in the car, yelling, "Police brutality," because the officer fined her and threatened to tow her rig. I cackled, couldn't help it, picturing this nutcase turning my quiet complex into a circus. "Fire zone?" I asked. "Yeah," she said, "and she won't move." Got a $2,000 fine, then threatened the guy, so he called backup. Kids are still sitting there. My fiancé lost it, doubling over with a laugh that echoed off the walls. "It's Raccoon Dog," he gasped, clutching his beer. The penny dropped. Jane. The pushy beer hater. My landlord's "What dog?" came through the speaker, confused. I spilled it all, the late-night call, her judging my brewing, my outburst, the sarcastic holiday quip. By the end, I could hear the fight drain out of her. She chuckled, low and weary. "Oh, honey, this explains everything. Can you just say officially you didn't invite her and don't want her here?" "Absolutely," I said, still reeling. "All right, I got this. Y'all have a great Thanksgiving." The line went dead, and we sat there, stunned, the cat staring like we'd lost our minds. My fiancé hit play on the movie, muttering, "Nope, nope, nope, just eat and watch." I tried to laugh, but my brain was spinning. Who does that? Who takes a throwaway line and turns it into a holiday invasion? Later, my mom filled in the gaps. Raccoon Dog had called her, ranting that I'd lied about hosting her kids, claiming my rudeness, got her fined $2,000, arrested, and bailed out for $3,500, plus $7,500 more for resisting arrest, trespassing, and threatening a cop. All because I didn't answer my phone. I hadn't even left the couch. At 40 plus, you think you've seen every flavor of family drama, but this? This was next level unhinged. I picture her kids, trapped in that car, watching their mom implode while I sipped stout and dodged her calls. Part of me felt bad, they didn't ask for this, but mostly, I marveled at the sheer audacity. My holiday stayed intact, untouched by her chaos, and I thanked my lucky stars for caller ID and a landlord with a backbone. Little did I know, this saga had one more twist up its sleeve. You ever get through a holiday thinking the worst is behind you, only to find the universe has one last curveball stashed in its back pocket? That's where I landed after Thanksgiving. The Raccoon Dog fiasco, her fire zone meltdown, the fines, the jail stint, felt like a fever dream I'd survived with my fiancé, a stout, and a stack of horror flicks. At 40 plus, you start to think you've seen it all. Awkward family dinners, passive-aggressive phone calls, the cousin who borrows money and ghosts you. But this was a new breed of chaos, and I figured it'd fade into the background like a bad sitcom rerun. I was wrong. The echoes of that day didn't just linger, they came knocking, and not in the way I expected. It started with a quiet December, the kind where you're finally catching your breath after Black Friday shifts and holiday prep. I was done with drama, ready to coast into the new year with my cat, my brews, and my fiancé's knack for making me laugh at the absurdities. Then my phone lit up. Not a call this time, a message on one of those social media apps I barely check anymore. Remember when we all lived on Facebook, posting about our lives like it mattered? Now it's just a graveyard of old photos and random notifications, but there it was, a group chat from two strangers. "Hey, this is Kid 1 and Kid 2, we're so sorry about our mom." I squinted at the screen, my brain sluggish from a long shift. Mom. Ooh, oh. Raccoon Dog's kids. The ones she'd dragged into her Thanksgiving tantrum. I hadn't thought much about them beyond pity, stuck in that car, watching her scream at cops while I sipped beer in peace. But here they were, typing out an apology that hit me square in the chest. "We've wanted to say sorry for a while," they wrote. "She's been a nightmare about you hanging out with us, and Thanksgiving was the breaking point. We were so embarrassed, we just didn't know how to reach out." I leaned back on the couch, the cat sprawled across my legs, and read on. They painted the scene, their mom hauling them to my complex, convinced I'd promised a holiday visit based on that sarcastic phone rant. They'd sat in the car for hours, first in the fire zone, then at the police station after her arrest, watching her spiral while they begged her to stop. We spent the day in a parking lot and a holding area instead of eating turkey, they said. She blew half our Christmas budget on fines and bail. Dad had to pick us up, and she's still blaming you. I laughed, but it was the kind that stings. At 40 plus, you know what it's like to be collateral damage in someone else's mess. My own parents had their share of blowouts when I was a kid, but these two? They didn't deserve that. We're sorry she dragged you into this, they finished. She's unhinged, and we're done pretending otherwise. My fiancé wandered in, peering over my shoulder. Who's that? Her kids, I said, still processing. He grinned. The spawn of raccoon dog? What do they want? Bail money. I smirked, but the message stuck with me. These weren't entitled brats. They were mortified, reaching out to a stranger to make amends. I typed back, keeping it light. No worries, you didn't pick your mom. There's a great pizza place up the street. I'm off next Friday if you're free. On me. They replied fast. Seriously? That'd be awesome, thanks. I set the phone down, a little stunned. After all that noise, the beer pot boiling over, the landlord's call, the $13,500 legal tab, I'd stumbled into a pizza date with two college kids trying to escape their mother's shadow. Life's funny that way. The week rolled by, and I filed for a restraining order against Raccoon Dog. Over 40, you learn to cover your bases. My landlord's "I got this" was solid, but I wasn't risking another surprise visit. Friday came, and I met the kids at the pizza joint, a hole in the wall with greasy tables and the best pepperoni in town. They were shy at first, 19 and 20, with that awkward energy you lose by 30. But once the food hit, they opened up. She's always been intense, kid one said, picking at a slice. But this year, she lost it. Keeps saying you ruined her life. Kid two nodded. We told Dad we're staying with him next break. She's too much. I chuckled. She ruined my stout, so we're even. They laughed, and we swapped stories. Me about brewing, them about college, dodging the mingle vibe like I did back in the day. It wasn't deep, just easy, like catching up with old neighbors. Driving home, I thought about how it started, a random call, a ruined recipe, a holiday hijacking. At 40 plus, you don't expect redemption from chaos. You brace for the next hit. But those kids, they turned it around, proving not every family mess ends in a shouting match. My fiancé greeted me with a grin. How'd it go? Good, I said. They're not their mom. He raised his glass. My latest brew, a porter this time. To small wins. I clinked mine against his, the cat purring between us. The restraining order was pending, the pizza was a hit, and Raccoon Dog? She could stew in her delusions. I'd found peace in a slice and a sip, more than she'd ever take from me.